10T Pro is a flagship-grade phone made of premium materials. It's covered in Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and the back, and the rounded frame is made from aluminum. The back is slightly curved and feels comfortable and secure in the hand. Our 10T Pro is in the cosmic black finish, which seems more like a shade of gray. It's super glossy and shiny, almost mirror-like, and fingerprints and smudges are quite visible here. On the front is a tall 6.67-inch display with a 1080p resolution. Unlike the other Mi 10 models, this one is an LCD, not an OLED. And while last year's Mi 9T Pro kept its selfie cam hidden with a pop-up mechanism, this year's model houses it within a visible punch hole. As is the case with LCDs, there is some noticeable backlight bleed around the punch hole if there is something white on screen. But even with these arguable downsides, this display is pretty awesome. It's the first on a Xiaomi device with a super fast 144Hz refresh rate, so swiping the interface or scrolling content looks smoother than ever before. The refresh rate is adaptive to the content on screen and can go as low as 30Hz to match it. It's really successful at syncing this up, and is one of the best implementations we've seen. In fact, this LCD is one of the best out there. It has great contrast, and though its blacks aren't as deep as an OLED could produce, they're still quite dark. Max brightness is great too, up to 500 nits with a slider, and it can reach 630 nits maximum in auto mode when in bright conditions. Colors aren't too accurate to certain color spaces, but can be made to be acceptable if you tweak them in settings. Finally, we have to mention the MEMC feature, something also found on modern TVs. It has additional motion smoothness to lower FPS content by inserting extra frames. As far as audio goes, you get a pair of stereo speakers. One sits at the bottom, and the earpiece acts as the second speaker. It's well balanced. The top speaker is just as loud as the bottom one, and vocals sound clear. Bass is lacking though, and loudness isn't too impressive. There is no 3.5mm jack on the Mi 10T Pro, but there is an adapter included in the box. With it, you can plug traditional headphones into the USB-C port. And like the other Mi 10 models, storage isn't expandable here, but you do get 128 or 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage on board. For unlocking the phone, there is a side-mounted fingerprint reader rather than an under-display one. It doubles as the power button and is extremely fast and responsive. And if you're tired of accidental touches causing misreads and locking the fingerprint scanner, you can make it so you need to actually press down the button to use it. Another thing that deserves some praise here is the Mi 10T Pro's haptic feedback system. It's very precise and strong if it needs to be, and you have full control over it with a slider in settings. The Mi 10T Pro runs the latest Xiaomi interface, MIUI 12, over Android 10. It's a bit different from previous MIUIs. You can opt to split the notification shade into two parts. Swiping from the upper left corner will show you all of your notifications, while swiping on the opposite side will open the control center with your options and toggles. You can choose to keep all of your apps on the home screen or within an app drawer. The drawer itself will automatically organize your apps into categories. And there's a new feature called Clear Speaker, which plays the sound at the maximum level for 30 seconds. You can use this if you find the speaker jammed with dust or water. At the heart of the Mi 10T Pro is a flagship-grade Snapdragon 865 chipset. Performance is excellent, and you get 5G connectivity too. While it might not be as chart-topping as the newer Snapdragon 865 Plus, the 865 still holds its own, and you wouldn't be disappointed here, whether you're performing some everyday tasks or something intensive like gaming. The Mi 10T Pro has a sizable 5000 mAh battery, and along with that, it seems the adaptive refresh rate does a nice job to help save energy. Overall, the Mi 10T Pro scored an excellent 118-hour endurance rating in our battery life tests. Charging is quite fast too. The phone comes bundled with a 33-watt power delivery charger, and with it we were able to go from a dead battery to 61% in half an hour. The Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro has 3 cameras on the back, a 108-megapixel quad-Bayer main cam with OIS, a 13-megapixel ultra-wide-angle cam, and a 5-megapixel camera with autofocus for taking macro shots. The main camera bins pixels 4 in 1, but for some reason the photos come out at 25 megapixels, not 27. Regardless, in good light these are great, with quite a lot of fine detail, natural looking colors, good sharpness, and wide dynamic range. You can take photos in the native 108 megapixel resolution, but these aren't impressive. There's noticeably more noise and not much improvement in detail. Zooming is done digitally. There is a loss of detail and sharpness here, since the photos are cropped and then upscaled. You definitely miss the advanced telephoto cameras you'd find on the other Mi 10 models. Portraits are taken with the main cam, but come out in 12 megapixels. Detail is good, and the edge detection does an okay job. However, from time to time, you'll notice some fine detail blurred out around the subject. The ultra-wide camera's 13 megapixel photos are okay, but we're not too impressed. Colors are nice looking, and the distortion correction works well, but these are a bit soft and lacking in detail, especially in grass and foliage. Dynamic range is rather narrow as well. As far as the macro cam goes, these results are a pleasant surprise. The autofocus helps a lot, and the amount of detail and sharpness is impressive for a 5 megapixel sensor. In low light, shots from the main cam are nice. Sharpness is decent, contrast is good, and noise is minimal. Plus the dynamic range is quite wide. Highlights are rarely clipped here. Turning on night mode improves the quality quite a bit. It brings out more detail from the shadows, and any clipped areas around light sources are gone. Subjects look sharper, while colors and contrast remain about the same. Nighttime shots from the ultra-wide camera look soft and noisy, with low detail and blown-out light sources, and there's no night mode support to help things out. Selfies from the 20 megapixel front-facing cam look sharp, with plenty of detail, even in challenging lighting conditions. You like the natural skin tones too. The Xiaomi Mi 10T can shoot videos in up to 8K at 30 FPS. 8K video is impressive, with punchy colors, low noise, great contrast, and wide dynamic range. The trick is finding a way to play it back in this resolution. 4K video from the main cam is similar in quality, with some small differences. Colors are even punchier.